Okay, normally this would be one of the games we're most excited for of the season. This year, I think I still can say that, but it's for a more sick, twisted way. Kentucky is on the road against Louisville, a Louisville program that I think wants to fire their head coach and is just waiting for the right moment. Either fortunately or unfortunately for Louisville fans, the game against Pepperdine over the weekend was not the right moment because Louisville coasted to a 22-point win, which was shocking. But now in steps a Kentucky team that looks really awesome when they play their A game. They just beat North Carolina over the weekend in a highly entertaining game. And if Kentucky plays like they did against Carolina, I think this gets ugly very quickly. Brian Rauf is here with me. I'm going to put you on the spot to start this preview. Is this the final game that Kenny Payne coaches at Louisville?
I think no, but I think he doesn't make it through January. Like I think if we had this conversation a couple weeks ago, I would have said, I don't know if he would still be here at this point. But the fact he is still here, I get the sense that Louisville is kind of taking this slower because there is no like interim plan that is good in Louisville's program who has had to deal with interim coaches in the past. It's clear he's not going to be back next year, right? I hope for the sake of Louisville basketball and the health of college basketball as a whole, I hope that's not the case. But it does seem like Louisville's kind of slow playing this, and it's going to take maybe two more really, really bad losses before they make a move.
I think this could be his last game. I do. Look, they don't play after this game until January 3rd. Like there are a lot of other programs in the country that want to work in a little like pre-Christmas game, or like you play on the 28th or something. Louisville has 2 full weeks off. This is like go home for winter break. If you were going to make a change when you coincidentally have 2 weeks to get things together, would be a pretty good time to make a change. I think that's in the back of everybody's mind. Now, the flip on this is you can't do that, I don't think, unless Louisville loses this game in blowout fashion. And the one thing I will give Louisville credit for is even against the best opponents on their schedule this season, they have not lost in blowout fashion. I mean, their biggest loss right now is 12 points to one of the worst teams they play at Arkansas State. But like they took Texas to the wire, needed a Max Hasemus buzzer beater to win that game. They lost to Indiana by 8. They lost to Virginia Tech in a true road game by 7. Like, say what you want about Louisville and the talent and the roster build and the chaos that is Kenny Payne. This team has been in basketball games with top 100 opponents. Now, Kentucky's the best team they've played, and this could get ugly given that it's a rivalry game and the circumstances, but there are signs that maybe Louisville can hang in this game.
Can I ask Kentucky fans a question?
Sure.
And I'll ask you this as well. Obviously, Calipari and Payne are pretty tight. You know, if you're Kentucky, you've proven enough that you're good this year. Do you not throw the game and lose, but purposely make things a little bit closer than they should so that Louisville is more apt to keep Payne around?
Okay, I love it. First of all, this is like the premier conspiracy theory of the season thus far. Here's my sad truth with it. I don't think Kentucky's capable of letting Louisville hang around in this game. Like, I think
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, the move would have to be like, oh, we're just going to play like our 7th through 10th guys more. The problem is the 7th through 10th guys in this team are awesome. Like the 7th guy's Rob Dillingham. So like if we're getting 32 minutes of Rob Dillingham in this game, he's going to eat Sky Clark alive. And I love Sky Clark. I'm a Sky Clark guy. That's my boy. I hope he crushes in this game. Rob Dillingham's awesome. So is Reed Shepherd. So is Aaron Bradshaw. So is Justin Edwards, who hasn't even played well like that. Justin Edwards might be the worst player in the rotation for Kentucky right now. So I don't know, man. I think as much as Kentucky fans would love, I'm sure, for Kenny Payne to stick around, I don't think there's a world they don't win this game by 20. And if you're going to win by 20, if you're Kentucky, you might as well win by 60, right? Like savor the moment where you packed them up and sent them out.
Oh, yeah. And no, I'm with you. It is too fun of a conspiracy theory not to bring up, and something that I will bring up on social media when Louisville is winning after the first TV timeout. Right. But I think the question in this game is not who wins. I think it's how quickly this turns into a blowout.
Yeah.
Because if Kentucky gets to that 20 point lead in the first 8 minutes, first half of the first half, then I think you start to get some of the real serious, okay, this can't continue with Kenny Payne. But we also said that after the Arkansas State loss, as you mentioned, and they had that was the same day guy transferred, but he didn't transfer, but they actually kicked him off the team. Then he's in the stands watching them lose to Arkansas State. That to me was the mess that was you have to move on. You have to move on. And they didn't.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It just I don't see this being the space for a Kenny Payne last stand.
Yeah, it's weird. It's nothing with Kenny Payne's program makes sense to me. I've considered the fact that he might be doing a bit. I've considered the fact that he is trying to get fired literally. I think he wants his buyout. And he might get it. I think he probably will get it soon. On the court, one thing I'm excited about in this game, I mentioned his name already. He's my guy. Sky Clark was a Kentucky commit way back when in 2020. This was a kid that was considered one of the best point guard recruits in the country. He was headed to be the next John Calipari point guard. Then he backed out. He ends up at Illinois. We all know how the Illinois season went. And now he finds himself as the star player on a Louisville team that wants to fire their coach. Just horrific spots for him to find himself in. You can argue all day and all night how much Sky Clark is contributing to these crazy locker rooms versus how much he is a victim of it. One thing I know, if it's just strictly roll the ball out, Sky Clark versus the point guard on the opposite side of him, Sky Clark is capable of winning his matchup any given day. I think we saw him go toe-to-toe with Max Abmas, and he did not look a step behind Max Abmas at all in that game. So he's going to have his hands full with the various point guards on this team. You could consider Reed Sheppard, Rob Dillingham, and DJ Wagner all the point guard on this team. But do you think Sky Clark is capable of single-handedly keeping Louisville in this game?
For a short stretch, I think for all the things you just mentioned, one, because of his upside and the best case scenario of him when he plays, the best version of himself. But you also just listed off 3 high-level Kentucky guards that he is trying to outplay by himself, essentially. Can he get hot and go on a stretch? Yes, but nobody gets hotter than Rob Dillingham. Nobody's as steady as Reed Sheppard. Nobody... I think DJ Wagner, you can make the argument, might be the best pro prospect of those 4. Sky Clark's got to outplay all of that for 40 minutes. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think he can get hot in an 8-minute stretch, but Rob Dillingham, can basically overturn that in 30 seconds, the way we've seen him heat up really quick. So yes, but Kentucky is too much for this Louisville team.
Yeah, it's too tall of a task to try to do it to 3 guys, let alone 1. And if give Cal credit, I think what he's kind of done this year is if DJ Wagner has it, okay, it's the DJ Wagner game. If he doesn't, okay, Rob, your turn. Okay, right. He's really kind of run this as an equal opportunity employment operation this year. In any given game, the Kentucky player that deserves it is on the floor. Sky, just noteworthy too. He started the season, I believe, with either 9 or 10. I don't know which math number is correct here, but he started the game with a bunch of double-digit scoring games. His last 2 have been his first 2 games of the season where he scored in single figures. So he's not exactly coming into this game hot by any means. He was 2 for 11 in the win against Pepperdine. He was 4 for 14 from the floor in the loss to Arkansas State with 5 turnovers. I'm hoping that's Sky Clark looking ahead to the Kentucky game. I think that's possible. I know he wants this one. I will say that. I know he wants to just put his good performance in and make sure people know that he is a Kentucky caliber guard. On the Kentucky side, you and I haven't talked a ton of Kentucky together this year. I've made the claim that I think Kentucky is the number 1 team in the country at controlling their own destiny, meaning any game that you play Kentucky, it's not about what you do to Kentucky. It's about which version of them shows up. I think their ceiling is that high. And when they're at their best, I think they might have the highest ceiling of any team in the country. Do you think that's a crazy claim?
No, I think that's probably accurate. Yeah, I think we saw over the weekend, Purdue probably has the best case of being the team that maybe Kentucky can't touch, even at their best. But the talent that this Kentucky team and the stretches that we've seen, I think they do have the highest ceiling. We haven't seen them play that consistently over the course of 40 minutes, but they have gone through stretches where they are otherworldly and dominant. The challenge for Calipari over these next 2.5-3 months is getting them to that point more consistently and then being able to maintain that for longer stretches. But they play that way. They are the best team in the country. And I think knowing that is why like the UNC Wilmington loss was so frustrating, because there is the variance of the youth here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's one of the more entertaining programs right now because of the gap between their ceiling and their floor. Now, while we're gassing up Kentucky's best case version of itself, what's Louisville's best case version of themselves? Like, are they for one night? Can Louisville play like a top 50 team in the country? Are they capable of that or no?
Yes, because I think we saw them play pretty well in Madison Square Garden when they had those two games against Texas and against who was the other team they played up there?
Indiana.
That's right. I wanted to say UConn, but I knew that wasn't right. We saw them play pretty well up there, and it was not pretty in either of those games, but they played hard and with a kind of effort that really has been lacking the entire Kenny Payne era. And I think that's the recipe for this game is you kind of make the game ugly, you muck it up a little bit. They have size and athleticism. Like that's one of the things that Louisville does have. You're able to disrupt the flow of the game, keep Kentucky's guards from getting hot, and just play your ass off. Then they can hang in the game. But I don't see a scenario where Louisville wins this game unless Kentucky has one of those nights where they're like 1 of 27 from 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless Antonio Reeves is just having an NCAA tournament relapse, then,
Right.
then maybe. But even then, I think this Kentucky team has too many other options that it wouldn't matter this year, where last year was like, oh, if Reeves is off, we're kind of screwed. That's our shooter. This year, it's like, no, we got a lot of other guys that can make shots. We'll cycle them in and out. Ken Pom has this as a 13-point road win for Kentucky. My strong presumption, we're doing this a couple days early, but my strong guess would be that the sportsbook lines open up a little broader than this. I think this will be Kentucky minus 15, maybe 15 and a half. That's just me trying to play handicap or knowing that people want to bet Kentucky in this spot. What's your prediction? What number would you need to back Louisville to cover?
35.
Oh my God.
Yep. I don't think this is close. I really don't. Like I said earlier, I think it's a matter of how quickly Kentucky gets there, not if they get there.
I'm with you. I just hearing that out loud is insane. 35, man.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I wouldn't bet it. I would not bet Louisville plus 30 in this game on paper. I just wouldn't do it. That's crazy. It's crazy to say. Wow, how things have fallen for a program that I mean, even we're acting like we have to go back a decade. Like Louisville, the Chris Mack years weren't that bad. Like this is
they weren't this bad.
It's crazy. It's crazy to me. Last one. Who would you hire if you're Louisville?
I mean, I do everything I can to make Dusty May say no.
Yeah.
Or make him say yes, excuse me. Like yeah. He's got to be option 1, 2, and 3. And I know Mick Cronin has Louisville ties. I know Kevin Willard has Louisville ties. But if you can get Dusty May, like that's the guy. You do whatever you can to bring him.
Yeah, I think Dusty's the best coach available. That is who I would make my first phone call to for any opening. I think it's Rick Pitino that ends up the coach. Isn't that crazy?
No. Like, yes, but this is college basketball, so no.
I think he ends up getting the call. I think he ends up getting the call.
Well, if you get into the whole other scenario, if Rick would like that, or if he still feels slighted by everything that happened, and he was the only coach who got fired, and
yeah,
you know, that's a fun game to play too. Like, what if Louisville didn't fire him?
Looks a whole lot different. Looks a whole lot different than it does right now. All right. Good luck to honestly just Louisville fans. Not that I'm rooting against Kentucky, but Kentucky, you don't need any luck in this game. Louisville fans, good luck. We will be here to recap this later this week on the Sleepers Media YouTube channel. That's Brian Rauf from Heat Check. I'm Greg Waddell, and we will see you next time.